Our story begins with a young lass and a laddie. Abby of the MacPherson clan and Angus of the MacNeil clan. They were playmates, as many children are, but as they grew, their love grew strong for each other. And the time came and they married, and they were very happy. And the years passed, and Angus' father grew very old and soon died. But it wasn't so tragic, because he was an old man when Angus was born. So Angus, being the eldest son, inherited everything. The lands, the title, and of course the castle. Angus and Abby's favorite spot was at the very top of the castle, the tower, at the very low wall. They spent many a night stargazing. And as usual, as humans are, war broke out, and Angus was called War. And he kissed Abby goodbye and mounted his horse and rode off, and Abby quickly rushed up the tower, which to which Angus as he faded out of sight. The days, the weeks, and the months faded and passed. And then a messenger came to the castle with grave news that Angus had been killed. Abby's heart broke, and her one thought was to go where she had last seen Angus. And it was a very cold winter's day, and the rain was pelting the top of the castle. So up the narrow stairs she climbed, tears flowing down her eyes and her face, so hard that she could barely see. And as she reached the top, she flung open the door, and she stepped out, and unbeknownst to her, it had iced over. And she slipped and fell to her death below. And the irony here, Angus wasn't dead. He was merely wounded. And as they brought Angus home, he thought to himself, I'll soon be home with my beloved Abby. She will nurse me back to health. And as they drew close to the castle, his heart leapt a little bit. He thought of his beloved Abby. So they carried the stretcher into the great hall and set it down. Angus looked around and thought something kind of strange here. No Abby. So he mustered up the strength and he raised up on one elbow and he leaned forward and he demanded, "Where is Abby at?" And a servant standing in the corner of the room slowly walked over to him with his head down. And he raised his head up and looked at him, square in the eyes, and his tears welled up. His eyes welled up with tears. Laird MacNeil, Lady MacNeil, has fallen from atop the castle and died. Angus fell back onto the stretcher. His heart broke. Well, time did pass, and those wounds did heal, but Angus' heart never did. Until one cold winter's night, much like the day that Abby fell from atop the castle, Angus was sitting, staring at the fire, watching the flames dance. From the corner of the room, he heard a faint voice saying, "Angus, Angus, where are you, Angus?" And Angus looked up, and there, standing next to the fireplace, was the figure of a woman, and he stared at it. It was Abby. She was haunting the castle. And this went on for many, many years. Time passed, and Angus grew very old, frail, and sick. And as he lay on his deathbed, his one thought was, soon I'll be with my Abby, and nothing will ever separate us again. And at that point, he looked up, and there, standing next to the bed, was his Abby, the way she looked the day that he had ridden off. With a radiant smile, she looked down at him and said, "Angus, it's time to go home." She stretched out her hand to him, and Angus, weak as he could be, raised his hand up to take hers, and then it dropped to them, and Angus was gone. But actually, he wasn't really gone. The spirit had lifted up out of the body and had taken Abby's hand. And they crossed over together where they would never even part. And then very day, that haunting stopped.